Chalo, great.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our first session post CAT. Um, Hope you all had a great CAT 24. Hope you've gone ahead and used this whole calculator and have a decent idea of what to expect. But raat gayi, baat gayi, din gaya, baat gaya. About time that we go ahead and look forward to what's in store. And there is loads that's in store. So before we get to that, welcome to GP as well. Hi, GP.
Hi, Gautam.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope
So,
we're audible, right? You can hear me. Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah.
so acha hai. I think hopefully by now people have got over with their happiness of doing well in CAT, or their sadness of not being able to perform to their potential, because what is done, as you said, and you can't do anything about what has happened on the day. And the only thing you can do is focus on the coming papers, and there are quite a few. Snap 3 papers. I hope everyone is writing all 3 of them, because they will take highest of the 3, and you don't know what is going to happen. NMAT, many would have taken, some have to take, and I hope everyone has applied for that. I would say, the most important paper after CAT is that, and I hope everyone is taking that. So yes, lots of stuff in store for them now. In the next couple of weeks, they have to start focusing on the next papers now.
Correct. And the good thing is, if students haven't applied for that, they still have 4 days. 30th is the
Yes.
last date. So please go ahead, make use of it. Both of us, we can't stress enough on this fact that it has to, even if you're thinking कि CAT में मेरा ना 100 marks आएंगे, 110 marks आएंगे, 99, फिर भी ZAT लिखना है. Matter ही नहीं करता. You have to write it.
उसमें कुछ सोचना ही नहीं चाहिए है. CAT is equal to ZAT, and the other thing also is what people need to remember. I'm going back to ZAT. What is important to remember is ZAT is a paper which is very good for students who are not so good in maths. Yeah. And because in CAT, between quant and DI, you are talking about 2/3 of the paper, slightly more than that actually. But the moment you look at ZAT, maths is about 35 to 40% of the paper. So 60% plus of the paper is not maths. Is what you need to remember, and it is your reading comprehension, your decision making, your common sense kind of stuff, your logic, which is going to be important. So as Gautam said, bhaiya nahi apply kiya to please kar do apply immediately. And not only that, when you're apply both for ZAT, for Excel Jamshedpur as well as Excel Delhi, and apply for MBA HR as well as MBA the BM program. Please apply for both programs, both campuses.
Absolutely spot on. So let's actually, on that note, go through what the agenda of today's discussion is. First and foremost, it will be great to hear a little from you how CAT went. Hope it went well. Agar acha nahi gaya, it's okay, nothing to worry about. So yeah, hope it went okay. Second, we'll move on to the MBA exam timeline. So the timeline actually started from around the 5th of November. So we're about 22 days into it. So NMAT काफी लोगों ने ले लिया. Well, like GP was stating, CAT already हो गया है. So what is in store was that. After CAT, getting a little deeper into SNAP, NMAT, and ZAT, well, we look at the paper patterns, we look at the important topics. What is it that you should go ahead and focus on? What are some of the different and differential strategies that you need to adopt specifically when it comes to the non-CAT exams? Because do keep in mind, while we constantly state CAT prep कर रहे हो तो आपका syllabus perspective से non-CAT exams prep हो रहे हैं, हर exam की अपनी अलग strategy होती है. Methodology of attempting the paper होता है. NMAT is very different from CAT. SNAP is very different from NMAT. ZAT is completely different from all of these, like GP was talking about. So we'll get a little deep into that. So that's predominantly what we're going to go ahead and focus on. उससे पहले एक दो क्वेश्चन जीपी यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं. Again, students are DM1000. So DM1000 guys will be launched by early next week. We are ideally trying to ensure that it is launched by late this week. Worst case scenario, early next week. The ZAT online classes are already launched. In case any of you are interested, you all can go ahead and have a look at that. few students are asking about PDP as well, and I think that is something we've not already touched upon, but that is also something that both GP and I will talk about today. Because for some of you all who already know ki हाँ मेरा I am expecting a decent score, GD-PI and VAT preparation, which is the stage 2 preparation, needs to kickstart ASAP as well. जिसके लिए the PDP program is there. So do not worry about that. We will go ahead and talk a little bit about that as well, GP. So these were the 2-3 things. So yeah, मतलब simple रखते हैं इसमें. How did your exam go? We've got 5 smileys. Just choose the smiley. 1 बोलोगे तो leftmost है, which means blue. 5 बोलोगे तो rightmost है, which means red. So 1 to 5. Just from the context of us understanding गया कैसे.
So
You have to
1 means
only
very good. Just to be clear, in this schema, 1 means very good.
Yeah. Very good to, let's say, very bad. Yeah.
Okay.
There are 3 safest है, जो भी बोलने के लोग 3 बोलेंगे, जो भी आ रहा है.
ठीक काफी है.
हमें 4 पॉइंट स्केल देना चाहिए था, गलती कर दी. इवन स्केल देना चाहिए था.
किसी डायरेक्शन में तो मूव करते हैं. 3.14 भी है, 5 भी आ गया यहाँ पे तो यार.
ओहो, lovely. There are quite a few 2s, which is good to see. I can understand why people wouldn't want to say 1, because you always feel you can do better. I can understand that, but 2s are good to see. Couple of 5s, don't be too worried. You might eventually realize it went better than what you're anticipating, and even if it didn't go, you still have 1 month to make up for a lot of it. Response sheet will be out by generally anywhere between 3 to 10 days. तो बहुत difficult है exact answer देना. Last year थोड़े दिन लग गए थे. I was wrong. I think a few days back I said 3 दिन में आ गया था. Somebody else had said कि 5th December आया था. That was right. So last year 9 दिन लगे थे. Last year when I am Bangalore had set the paper, it had actually come out in 2 days. So वो range है. It could be any of these two. I like this. Kshitij is saying feels like 1. I would want to go ahead and put that here. I like it when somebody goes out and उसको ये confidence है कि मेरा अच्छा गया, काफी अच्छा गया. That's a good feeling to have. Now go ahead, double down and ensure अगर CAT के through multiple calls आने हैं तो बाकी exams के through भी काफी calls आएंगे. So yeah, let's hope that it went well. But that's it. That is all the time that we want to spend on CAT today. How it went 1 to 5 बस जानना था. Let's actually move on to where we are. This is basically your exam timeline. This is predominantly where you are at this point in time. If you look at yourself, your CAT is done. There are 3 snap attempts coming up, like GP pointed out, 8th, 15th, and 21st. For some of you all, NMAT might be over. For some of you all, NMAT might be coming up. I was having a chat with a student today who was stating NMAT is on 29th. Yesterday, somebody called me, jiska NMAT was on 4th. So I know there are quite a few of you all jinka NMAT is coming up probably over the course of the next 7-10 days. So yeah, that is important. So keep an eye out on that. Obviously, post that you have XAT, which is coming up on the 5th of June. And even after that, some of you all, even we've not focused on it enough, but I will repeat. On 7th of December, MICA बोल के एक बहुत अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट का एक एग्जाम है, MICAT. I hope a few of you all have at least applied. In case you haven't, 25th Jan को MICAT 2 है, which means the second attempt. Like best of 2 लिया जाता है. So I would suggest at least everybody who's interested in marketing, who's interested in advertising, जिसको थोड़ा एक creativity angle पसंद है, MICA is a very, very interesting college to look at. And if some of you all are interested in, companies like Red Chilies, Yash Raj Films, they have a tendency of recruiting a lot of people from MICA. So if you're looking at that sector, and some of you all might be, it's a very interesting exam to look at. So I will also urge you all to go ahead and have a look at that. GP, students generally miss out on MICA and they also miss out on MHCT. A lot of them feel, yeah, Maharashtra se nahi hu to nahi karna chahiye. So yeah, I think, 2 words on that from you.
Okay. Let me take MHCT first. MHCT, if you're from Maharashtra, especially Mumbai, you should definitely take it. No 2 ways about it. Lena hai, pakka lena hai. And because even if you compare Bajaj, which will be through MHCT, Bajaj would be as good as ABCL, XLFMS. It's the same league, ISB. So you look at these 7-8 institutes, you really can't differentiate. And especially when you're looking at finance as an area, being in Mumbai is a huge advantage, and possibly Bajaj has the best placement system domain among all the top institutes, including ABCL, XL. Okay? So which is why I think MHCT is a must, especially if you are from Mumbai, because 70% of the seats in Bajaj are for Mumbai University students, and 15% for rest of Maharashtra, 15% for rest of India. Yeah, I think, yeah, 70, 15, 15. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
secondly, if you are not a Maharashtra student, if you are what are called OMS, outside Maharashtra state category, should you take it? Yes, you should still take it. Again, one reason is Bajaj. Second reason is, even if you have not done well in CAT, that means ठीक है, ABCL, XL, FMS नहीं हुआ. I'm looking at the next level of institutes. Getting into a Bajaj is a distinct possibility, and I have known students in the past who have been able to make it to Bajaj. Not only that, the next two institutes, which are Sydenham. Sydenham is a very, very underrated institute, among the top institutes, I would say. And next one would be Somaya. So Sydenham MMS, Somaya MMS, again you can get through Maharashtra CT. The interesting thing is, this paper happened late, sometime in March, and it could even happen in April or May, but typically it does not happen before mid-March. So what happened by then? The competition thins down significantly. Many people have already decided they will be repeating. Many students have already seen कि मेरा call आ गया है और मेरे को आगे कुछ नहीं करना है. I have got interview call. Let me focus on them. So the competition really thins down when it is Maharashtra CET. So which is why, even if you are outside Maharashtra state, even though you have only 15% seats, you should definitely take it. And at least make sure that you are considering the three institutes, which is Bajaj, followed by Sydenham, followed by Somaya. Okay, so this is important from my point of view. Coming to MICAT, as Gautam said, excellent
Just
institute.
before MICAT, because you were talking about MHCAT, a couple of students want to understand the actual meaning of domicile. So because
Okay.
some of them, I'm working in Mumbai, will I also be considered domicile? Because ये question regularly आता है.
No, you will not be a domicile. The criteria, I don't know the exact criteria, but I think it requires you to have done your 10th, 12th, or graduation, or something
Yes.
from Maharashtra. Okay, and each university, each college has what is called a home university. So Bajaj is part of Mumbai University, so it is home university. So if happen to be a domicile of Mumbai and you have done your graduation from Mumbai University, you are part of that 70% quota. Okay, so there's a kind of a thing, but if you have just been working for the last 3 years, no, you are not the domicile of Mumbai or Maharashtra. Okay, the exact details I don't have it, but we'll always share it at an appropriate time. We can pull it out and share it at an appropriate time. But broadly, if you have done 10, 12 graduations from there, you are a domicile of Mumbai, or if you have done it from Pune, you are domicile of Pune. So, and if you have, for example, you have domicile is Pune. You've done your 10th from Pune, but you have done your graduation from Mumbai University, you will be counted as a part of Mumbai University, which means you will be a domicile of Mumbai and part of the 70% quota for Bajaj and Sydenham and Somaya, all three of them. So it's a kind of tricky, but by and large, domicile या जहां बहुत साल रहे हो, या यहाँ से तुमने अपनी जिंदगी बिताई है, that's the simplest way to look at it. Okay?
Also, what we can do, GP, is once the forms are officially out, we'll have a form filling session, and there it will be clearly mentioned. We'll get deeper into it so that we can
Yeah.
help students identify exactly क्या है, because they will have some 3 or 4 conditions basis which you will be considered domicile or not.
Yeah.
So
There are
to those who
multiple.
are worried, relax, don't worry.
Yeah, just to add to what Gautam said, you may be a domicile from one side and not from another, but you'll still be considered. So multiple routes to domicile. If you are part of one of them, you are a domicile of the state. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Second thing we were discussing was
MICAT. Yeah.
MICAT. Yeah. Second thing we were discussing was MICAT. MICA as an institute is again one of those underrated institute. Okay. Many people don't consider it, don't apply for it. But if you are looking at top professionals in marketing, brand management, there's a very good chance that about 50% of them, or if not 50, at least 1/3 of them would be from MICA. Okay, it has a comparatively smaller batch size as compared to the other institutes. But if you are not among the top institute, which means ABCL, XL, FMS kind of institutes, and you have to choose between IMT, MICA, NM, IMI, and if you are keen on marketing, then marketing brand management, then MICA is something you should consider very, very, very seriously. And as Gautam said, the kind of placement it offers is distinctly different, and the base which they have is much wider. Again, if you want to get into advertising, one of the best places to get into. Okay, so while Narsimon-ji, MDI will also not MDI, sorry, Narsimon-ji, IMT will also give you good placements. But if I'm 100% sure that it is only marketing that I want to look at, then it is difficult to ignore MICA. You may still choose not to go to it, but MICA will definitely be a very strong contender in your consideration set. Then, okay? So as Gautam said, paper de do. The decision to join or not to join has to be taken in April, May, not now. Right now, तुम्हें खाली कर्म करना अपना, which means marketing में interest है, माइका का फॉर्म भरो, जनवरी का पेपर दो, and hope for the best.
And related to that, GP, the paper is also slightly different. You need to realize इसमें तीन चार काफी अलग चीजें हैं. Last एक दो साल से, the quant level has been higher. In the quant, there have been questions which have 8 options, and sometimes multiple options उसमें correct भी होते हैं. Along with that, this is a paper जिसमें quant, reasoning, verbal, GK के अलावा you also end up having to write essays, which are very important because they consider and give a lot of weightage to the essay, and there is a psychometric test as well. So there are multiple parts to a MICA paper. If you haven't experienced this, please check out the MICAT mocks, which are there on our website. Also, some of you all are pointing out, will we have specific sessions for that? We will have specific sessions for that, and there is no need to enroll in a course specifically for MICA. What we are doing this time specifically for all of you all is MICA oriented. MICAT 1 se pehle we will have 2 or 3 sessions specifically for MICA on our YouTube channel, available for you free of cost. So you don't need to look for a course for that. So do go ahead, be a part of those sessions, because like I pointed out, not only are there going to be different aspects that are going to be tested, essay writing aa gaya, psychometry aa gaya, GK thoda aa gaya, but also paper pattern bhi thoda alag hai. Question quant mein 8 options, multiple right honge, very painful questions sometimes. So it will be important that you go ahead and have a look at it before you go ahead and write that paper. Yeah, GP.
Yeah.
CMAT and MICAT.
Yeah. ये सवाल बहुत लोगों ने पूछा है, तो I thought we'll pick this up. See, first of all, if let's look at CMAT as a paper. Which institutes will be available to you? The top 2 institutes to CMAT are, I would say, would be Somaya and KJ Somaya and Goa Institute of Management. All the other institutes will be lower than the
जीपी जेबी भी ले लेता है बीच में. वो 1 साल लेता है, 1 साल नहीं लेता, 1 साल लेता है, 1 साल नहीं लेता, बट नंबर ऑफ सीट्स 5 या 7 होते हैं. So you should not bet on it.
Not only that, you will need almost a 99.99 or worst case 99.97. Anything below 99.97 in CMAT will not get you a JBIMS. So which is why I don't count it uske andar. But coming back to it, if I just forget about other things and to look at these two, the issue is KJ Somaya and Goa Institute of Management are possibly the best 2 institutes through CMAT, and all the other, and these are in any case a part of CAT and ZAC both. In addition to that, all the other institutes which you will take through CMAT, many of them are not worth joining. The ones which are worth joining are in any case covered through CAT and ZAC. So the starting point, Shikhar, for you is marketing something which is interesting for you, where you're looking at a career in marketing. Please take MICAT over CMAT, because what CMAT will give you, you'll already cover it through CAT and ZAT. However, if you say marketing में कोई interest नहीं है, मेरे को खाली finance ही करना है life में, then obviously MICAT doesn't make sense for you. So until MICA marketing is in the consideration set, don't worry about MICA. If you say MICAT marketing ही करनी है, or marketing is something I'm interested in, though I'm not sure whether I would like to go for MICA marketing or not, but I want to explore at this point of time, then MICAT over CMAT. Okay.
And there is another exam, GP, which is on the same date, 25th को XGMT.
हाँ देखो, again same issue वही है. XGMT is what Xavier's University. Again, the institute which you will be considering through, so Xavier's University is essentially going to be XIM Bhubaneswar or Xavier's Institute of Xavier's University MBA. I don't know what the latest name for it, क्योंकि सब नाम बदलते रहते हैं, but XIM Bhubaneswar is what you're talking about. Okay, XIM Bhubaneswar is available to you through CAT and ZAT both. Okay, so there's no reason to go for XGMAT over CMAT or over MICA. If especially MICA, अगर MICA interest है marketing में, तो MICA ही लेना होगा. And again, if you say, if I get admission to both MICA as well as XIM Bhubaneswar for marketing, which is better, without fail I would say, boss, MICA जाओ, सोचो मत ज़्यादा. Okay, so to me it is very very clear, MICA over CMAT, MICA over definitely over XGMAT, because XGMAT और CMAT दोनों in any case cover हो जाते हैं CAT-ZAT के through.
Correct. So there are a lot of questions coming कि मेरे स्नैप के 3 अटेम्प्ट है, एनमैट के 1 अटेम्प्ट है, तो जैट के लिए कैसे प्रेप करेंगे? I'll pick those up. Let's first actually get a little deeper into each of these exams and let's move forward. This is what an exam calendar is going to look like. Similar to what we've been talking about at this point in time. Your next exam is going to be MICAT on the 7th, very next day is SNAP, which is on the 8th. And like GP pointed out, hopefully you all are taking all 3 attempts, so then 15th and 21st. NMAT is continuing as we speak. Last date is on the 20th. So up you can't change your date or anything. So I don't want to mention anything about your date. Jab bhi hai. And then finally, obviously, ZAT is on the 5th, and then 25th ko jaake wapas MyCat HDMT. That is basically what your calendar looks like. We've spoken about that. Let's kickstart with NMAT GP. I have actually written it. I wrote it on the 10th.
Yeah.
I did an analysis of that as well, which is on our YouTube channel. So those who are writing it, I would urge जाने से पहले at least वो तो देख के जाना. थोड़ा अलग पेपर है, थोड़ा वैकी पेपर है. I call it a wacky paper because this is very different from what you will see anywhere else. Questions in every section is the same. The time varies. ये जनरली नहीं होता. होता क्या है, टाइम कंसिस्टेंट रहता है, क्वेश्चंस कुड वेरी. ये कंप्लीटली ऑपोजिट होता है. That within the paper itself, within the section, the time per question changes, very drastically. For one section, you have almost 1.5 minutes at quantitative skills, and for the other, you barely have about 40 seconds, which is language skills, 40 to 45 seconds. So it really varies. Also, if you start looking at it and comparing it with respect to CAT, there are a lot of differences because suddenly language skills, which is English, vocabulary becomes very important. Your grammar becomes very important. So grammar plus vocab अगर हम ले दोनों को ले that will be almost about 50% of your paper. उसके अलावा you will get a little bit of parajumbles and you're going to get 3 RCs. That is predominantly what language skills is. Logical reasoning again very different from CAT because CAT में क्या है? It is predominantly LRDI or a mixture of the two, which is what we call reasoning based DI. यहाँ पे it is further bifurcated into analytical reasoning and verbal reasoning. And verbal reasoning में और critical reasoning question, which is statement assumption, statement conclusion, strengthening, weakening, course of action, all of those suddenly come in. So you need practice for that, very specific. And quant, while लगता है CAT के लिए हमने सब कुछ कर लिया, more often than not होता क्या है, most people would not have spent a lot of time on topics like permutation combination, probability, numbers के base system नहीं देखा होगा, numbers में उतने deep नहीं घुसे होगे. जबकि इस बार मेरे साथ एटलीस्ट पेपर में क्या हुआ, आउट ऑफ 36 क्वेश्चंस 15 क्वेश्चंस वर फ्रॉम नंबर्स, permutation combination and probability, which is almost close to 40% of the paper. So I think this is what students need to realize, that syllabus perspective से, topic perspective से CAT की prep कर लिए, yes, but taking mocks, getting identified and used to some of the differing types of questions, some of the different topics becomes very important for this exam. And then obviously having a different strategy, because you also have to take that all important call of मेरे को किस order में attempt करना है ये paper, क्योंकि वो भी आपके ऊपर है. Right at the beginning, they're giving you 3 factorial 6 choices and you decide what will I start with, what will I end with. So to me, I personally have always enjoyed NMAT a lot because I think it really tests you on multiple facets. Having said that, paper थोड़ा सा तो अजीब है. What's your take?
नहीं, अजीब तो है, ठीक है. एंड स्पेशली व्हेन यू लुक एट द रीजनिंग वाला सेक्शन, थोड़ा सा अजीब इसलिए भी लगता है मुझे कि it again brings in kind of questions which at least I don't think are important. I think they are unnecessarily creating issues. और शायद इसलिए मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगता कि मुझे पसंद नहीं है questions. I don't know what is the case, but this is one of those papers I have not been very fond of. For the simple reason, थोड़ा सा अजीब लगता है. Okay? However, I don't think we have the luxury of saying यार पेपर पसंद नहीं है मुझे ये. The paper है, this is what we have to live with. The only thing we can do is we can maximize or optimize our scores within the constraints which are there. For example, when you look at language skill is the complete range is there. As you said, you have vocabulary, you have analogies, you have grammar, you have sentence correction, you will have parajumble, you'll have reading comprehension. Everything which you can think of in VARC is there, including fill in the blanks and other stuff. You look at logical reasoning, it covers the entire range of question of logical reasoning, from an input-output, which I hate, to something like number series, alphabet series, your analytical reasoning, your critical reasoning, your तो वेन डायग्राम बना के कहते हैं, क्या कहते हैं उसको, मैं भूल गया, डिडक्टिव लॉजिक, डिडक्टिव
Logical Venn
लॉजिक,
diagram.
एवरी काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन जो बैंक पीओ में आते हैं, ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन, आई थिंक,
Syllogisms. I think
या सिलोजिज्म,
syllogisms.
yeah, I think a couple of years we have also had those visual reasoning questions. So whatever
Yeah.
you can think of is there. So the range is very wide. So the biggest issue with the section is essentially the logical reasoning, where the range is very wide, and the other part is for
Input output
practically
GP.
all the kind of question types there will be only 2-3 questions. So you end up doing quite a large number of questions. The only exception I have seen to this is essentially input output. Input output, I've seen people getting as low as 5 to as high as 10 questions in a single paper. Now, which I think is very, very lopsided. You cannot have a 1/3 or even 1/4 of the paper as a logic, as a input output of the reasoning section. Then it becomes an input output paper rather than a logical reasoning paper. It's okay to have 2-3 questions because you have got 36 questions. You have 10 to 12 different kind of question types between analytical and verbal logic, and each one of them having 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 questions, perfectly fine. But if there are 5 to 10 questions of input output or any one question type, then it defeats the purpose of the paper, is what I've always felt. Quantitative is something I've always felt कि यार ठीक है, it is fairly simple. If you say CAT is level of difficulty 2, this is probably level of difficulty 0.75. Okay,
Yeah.
but as Gautam said, it is important to look at the topics which were not important from a CAT perspective, but are important from this paper perspective. He's talked about permutation, combination, number system, and let me again tell you, when you look at number system, this year CAT has given about 4 questions in the paper. Okay, till last year this used to be about 2 questions. Invariably, this paper is going to give you at least 4, maybe 4 to 6 questions, maybe even 8 questions from number system. So number system, permutation, combination, the topics, probability, which are not important for CAT, become important out here. So you'll find the first section, grammar, etc., vocabulary, we just ignore for CAT. Important here. Secondly, logical reasoning, the bank PO kind of logical reasoning, analytical reasoning, verbal reasoning questions which we ignore for CAT become important here. Quantitative skills, again, the topics which are not very important from CAT point of view become important here. So you need to put in that extra effort because you have done each of those things. But in the time between now and your NMAT paper, you have to at least practice those a little bit more because the level of difficulty is not high. While you'll have a permutation combination problem question, it is unlikely to be a level of difficulty 3. It is likely to be a level of difficulty 1 or 1.2 or 1.5. So the level of so as long as you are reasonably okay with the basics, you should be able to handle all those questions.
Great. So GP, one request coming in that for each of the exams we are talking about, can we also talk a little bit about the safe scores and the top colleges? So I'll probably pick this up to begin with for NMAT. NMAT, every year if you look at it, the range of the cutoff has been 230 to 234. वही range रहता है, उससे ज़्यादा गया नहीं, उससे कम भी गया नहीं है. So I always turn around and say safe score is 235 plus. Sectional जो होता है वो again it has never crossed 76 across the 3 sections. Last year LR was slightly lower, it was at 73. Quant was even lower, it was at 70. Safe side once again is 76 above in all 3 sections, guaranteed, and 235 above overall, guaranteed call aega isse. Having said that, since I just took it this year, my personal take was with 3 RCs, that was a surprise. So verbal did appear slightly more difficult than last year because 3 RCs was a surprise as compared to 2. But it won't be a surprise for everybody, right? Please keep that in mind because most of y'all would be aware of it by now. Secondly, reasoning was slightly trickier and quant mein, the length of the questions were higher. Like GP was pointing out and I stated, this is the first time I've ever seen a paper where there were 10 questions GP just from probability and permutation combination. 10 questions. And 10 out of 36 is humongous. You're talking about 30% of the paper from just 2 topics. And in fact, one topic, I consider, probability to be an extension of PNC. So you can actually just say it's basically one topic, just say 10 questions hai. So uske wajah se lagta hai that it might go down, but as we have experienced in the previous years, overall cutoff does not go down too much. Sectional ho sakta hai quant ka 70 tak aa jaye, but overall it won't go. So I will once again state, Aim for a 235 plus with a 76 plus in every section. Somebody just pointed out that they've scored 233. I think it was Anurag, if I'm not wrong. He said 233 score आया है, जिसमें LR 73 है. Good chance of getting a call, but it's not a guarantee. That's the thing that you have to keep in mind. It's not a guarantee. And the problem with NMAT, unlike SNAP, is first attempt is all that NMIMS is going to look at. Second and third attempt does not matter for NMIMS. Other colleges will look at best of three. So now you can just keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best. The best colleges under this, the order would be Nasimunji, Mumbai. I like to place Navi Mumbai after that instead of Bangalore because of location. Thoda advantage chal raha hai. So Navi Mumbai right after Bombay. IGP, I think you would agree with me.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah. Third would be Bangalore. Then comes Hyderabad. Then comes Indore. बीच में एक XIMB का RM and HR. These two programs के लिए it started accepting NMAT as well. उसमें 225, 226 plus आएगा, you got a good chance की call आएगा. So वो भी आ जाता है. So these are the colleges you should look at. Cut off generally, अगर मैं 235, 236 का base लूँ, 234 का base लूँ for Mumbai, आपका Bangalore and Navi Mumbai is hovers between 220 to 225, and आपका Hyderabad and Indore is between 206 to 210. That should give you a fair idea of what to expect in case you've already written it and what to target if you're going ahead to write. Unlike CAT, यहाँ पे actually आप target कर सकते हो क्योंकि काफी standardized है ये paper. Yeah. Anything GP you'd like to add here for NMAT?
Yeah, I think covered everything. खाली एक सवाल है. I think TAPE also started accepting for certain program. I'm just trying to recollect which one.
You are right. I'm also forgetting.
I don't remember
which one.
ठीक है, याद आता है तो डालते हैं, otherwise we'll have it put up on the career launcher page.
Sure. We'll do that. Okay. Let's move to SNAP. Exams on 3 dates, 8th, 5th and 21st, which you are aware of, and best of 3 लिया जाता है. Over to you, GP. Probably you can take us through this.
Yeah, see, SNAP is very simple, 60 questions, 60 marks. Okay, 60 minutes and 60 questions and 60 marks, sorry. Okay, so plus 1 for every question, and as it's written, a negative marking of -1/4. Okay, 3 parts of the paper: English, reasoning, and quant, as was the case with NMAT also. And here there is no sectional time limit. You are given 60 minutes, and you have to manage whatever questions you can within these 60 minutes. It's your typical T20 which you have to play out here. Okay? And the level of difficulty, again, by and large, not very difficult. But off and on they will come out with something strange, some strange kind of stuff which can be an issue for students. Okay? But by and large, when I look at quantitative aptitude, data interpretation, data sufficiency, it is heavily arithmetic focused paper. Not that others don't come, but out of those 20 questions, bulk of the questions are likely to be arithmetic, some algebra, and something from the others also. Okay. Similarly, when you look at English, the verbal ability part will again you can also expect questions from this vocabulary, grammar kind of questions, fill in the blanks also out here, and analytical, logical reasoning. Again the regular stuff is there. There was a time when they used to focus a lot on cubes and other kind of questions, but of late they have become a little, not completely, but a little standardized in this area. Okay? The important thing to remember here is when you're looking at 3 papers, there are 3 papers. Unfortunately, there's no normalization between the 3 papers. And the level of difficulty of the 3 papers varies. Now, which is why we recommend that this is the paper, NMAT, we would never say they take it twice or thrice. Even when NMIMS used to consider the other attempts, even then our logic was take it once and do it well. Out here, you have to make sure you take all 3 papers, because level of difficulty in paper 1 could be high, in paper 2 could be low. And in paper 1 you score 34, in the paper 2 you could end up scoring 42. And that could mean you'll get a call from paper 2, not from paper 1. So, and the same thing would be true for paper 3 also. So please remember this page, and SNAP for some stupid reason does not do any kind of normalization between the 3 papers. They have assumed that all 3 papers are same level of difficulty, which is being stupid, because that is not the case. We a large number of our faculty members take these papers every year, all 3 of them, and we have every time seen that the level of difficulty across the three papers varies. And you happen to be taking it once, and unfortunately your paper is difficult. There's no way you are likely to get a call unless you have almost topped the paper. So that's broadly about the paper as such. Gautam, you can add whatever you would want to.
Yeah, I'll just add 1 or 2 points here, GP. One interesting thing about Snap is verbal के section में RC नहीं आता. Last 2 साल से नहीं आ रहा. So that is very unique to this exam. और किसी में नहीं होता. RC reading comprehension. If you look at the name of the section, reading comprehension is written. और last 2 साल से कोई RC नहीं है. So, once again, if we expect it to be along the same lines, there will not be any RC here, which means those 15 questions, considering they are predominantly vocab, analogy, grammar, they actually should not take more than 7 to 8 minutes. So, which is why you end up having a lot of time for your reasoning and quant sections. That's one. Second is, like GP was pointing out कि NMAT में कभी कभी होता है, स्नैप में हर साल होता है, वो एक गंदा विजुअल रीजनिंग का कुछ तो आता है और वो गंदा होता है. You can actually avoid it अगर नहीं स्ट्राइक कर रहा, because this is a timed paper, you have to be very very quick. कोई desperate need नहीं है कि उस क्वेश्चन में अटक के करना ही होगा. और वो बहुत weird लॉजिक के साथ आया हुआ है. जब वो ऑफलाइन पेपर होता था, पेपर पेंसिल वाला, तब तो आई रिमेंबर वी यूज्ड टू सिट डाउन एंड से क्या ही बनाया हुआ है ये लोग ने. लॉजिक स्ट्राइक भी नहीं करता था, आंसर की के बाद भी स्ट्राइक नहीं करता था, ऐसे भी हुआ है. So I would once again just state, be very careful about that part. And the third thing is, unlike NMAT, I think that is one thing we didn't mention in NMAT. NMAT में there is no negative markings, which means कुछ आता नहीं तो भी कुछ आंसर करके निकलो. It is very important. All 108 questions should have been answered, right? Here that won't happen. Even though the penalization is slightly lower than CAT, जब वहाँ 1/3 है penalization या 1/4 है, penalization है. So you can't just turn around and state मैं अंधाधुंध सब C mark कर दूंगा या B mark कर दूंगा. Don't do something like that. Yes, I can understand there are some 2-3 questions where you eliminated 2 and 2 hai. You are a risk taker. That section is something that you're confident in. You want to take a risk. I can understand you doing it in 2-3 questions, but otherwise don't do it. So these are just the 2-3 things to keep in mind. Also, like GP pointed out, the level of difficulty changes slot wise, and it has also changed year wise. So there has been a year when the cutoff was 45. There has been a year when the cutoff was 40. So if you were to turn around and ask us what is a safe score at this point in time, we can't comment. It could be 40 is enough. It could be 45 is enough. So there is no such thing that we can today turn around and tell you 45 40 आ गया तो हो गया. इतना ही बोल सकते 45 प्लस आ गया तो हो गया, पर 45 ला भी पाओगे इस पेपर में कि नहीं, डिपेंड करता है लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी पे. So I do not want to preempt this. या जीपी
नहीं, उसमें एक और चीज है ना, 3 पेपर है, एक में 45 आ सकता है, 2 में नहीं आ सकता है, ऐसा भी होता है. तो मेरे को सबसे बड़ी बेवकूफी इस पेपर की यही लगती है, दे डोंट नॉर्मलाइज द स्कोर्स. एंड मुझे कई बार लगता है दे आर नॉट नॉर्मलाइजिंग द स्कोर बिकॉज दे वांट टू अर्न मनी बाय मेकिंग पीपल स्टूडेंट्स टेक द पेपर थ्राइस. Otherwise, there is no logical reason why they are not normalizing the scores across the 3 papers.
Correct. And now another thing which is happening, GP, is since we are so close to the exam and when students were going to fill it up, 22nd last day tha, last 2 days mein, one of the 3 slots was not available also. So I'm seeing, Mohammed Faizan putting it here that I went to apply and last date ka mere ko slot hi nahi mila koi. Now, अब लेट हो गए, you can't do much about it. They had limited number of seats. What you could have tried was you could have gone ahead and thought of another center or another city that you can go ahead and apply. पर अब वो कर नहीं सकते. It's all done and dusted, so forget it. Okay, don't worry too much about it. That is mainly about exactly जो है उस पे फोकस करो. Snap का important colleges once again, SIBM Pune.
Just one thing. Both NMAT and Snap, there's one thing which I want you to be clear about is that the vocabulary questions, the sentence correction, grammar, fill in the blanks, you have to do those questions in 20 to 30 seconds per question. Vocabulary, grammar is something either you know or you don't know. Don't try to eliminate choices. मालूम है आंसर मार्क करो, नहीं मालूम है छोड़ दो स्नैप में, NMAT में मार्क करो और आगे जाओ. Because if you don't do that, what you'll find is certainly that your logical reasoning or quantitative and Snap you not have sufficient time. Okay, so these 15 questions, assuming there's no reading comprehension, in the worst case you have to finish up in 5 minutes, 6 minutes worst case. Okay. Similarly, if you look at NMAT, the first section, which is the English section, 28 minutes for 36 questions. And typically there are 2 to 3 reading comprehension. They say it varies from person to person. If there are 3 reading comprehension and let's say 2 parajumbles, you will have 12 plus 2, 14 out of 36 questions, which are time consuming. And you don't know when they will come. Maybe you will not have any of these, but maybe there will be the last 12 question or last 14 question will be this area. So whenever you come, don't think कि अच्छा जब आएगा तब सोचेंगे. So जब शुरू किया है, a question of vocabulary, analogy, fill in the blank, sentence correction, grammar, just don't waste time. आता है mark करो, नहीं आता कुछ भी लिखो और आगे चलते जाओ, so that in the end you are not left wanting for time for reading comprehension paragraph if they happen to be in the end. Okay? And remember, typically the passages are not lengthy, and typically each passage will have 4 questions. Something like 4 minutes per passage is usually good enough for this paper. So 3 passages will mean 12 minutes. 2 paragraphs will mean somewhere 2 to 3 minutes. So 15 minutes you need to keep for these 12 to 14 questions. Okay? Yeah, sorry, Gautam, we can go back.
स्पॉट ऑन. जस्ट वन मोर थिंग जीपी एनमैट का, क्योंकि वो जब बोलते हैं फिर सडनली एक दो चीजें और याद आती है. यहाँ पे कोई क्वेश्चन पैलेट नहीं है. देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन पैलेट पेन. क्वेश्चन कम्स, यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट एंड मूव ऑन. हाँ, यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट एंड मूव ऑन. सो इफ यू आर थिंकिंग आई विल कम बैक, वो कम बैक वाला फंडा ही नहीं है एनमैट में. तुम्हें अटेम्प्ट करके ही आगे बढ़ना होगा. स्नैप में यू कैन डू द कमिंग बैक वाला थिंग, विच in such a speed based exam is not the ideal thing, but yeah, in NMAT you surely can't. So please keep that in mind. Some of students are also asking ki, does NM Bangalore accept the second attempt? No, it does not. Even NM Bangalore accepts only the first attempt. So forget about it. First attempt jo hai usi ke basis pe hoga. Also, I have heard that if you do not turn up on exam date and appear afterwards when they open reattempt, will they take it as the first attempt? मतलब
I think it will still be taken as first attempt. नहीं, if it has been cancelled, no, इसका है clear. If you did not attempt and take the second attempt, it is not. It is counted as second attempt. If the first one got cancelled and it is the same attempt which is rescheduled, then it is first attempt. So if your first attempt gets rescheduled, that's a separate thing. If the first attempt you don't take and you take a second attempt, that will still be counted as second attempt. First attempt में तुम्हारा 0 हो गया, you are out of the race for NM.
Yeah, correct. So reschedule अगर किया, you have a chance.
हाँ. Reschedule by NM, by NMAT. एक चीज याद रखो, NM allowed
reschedule ना. For example, if your exam is say on the 8th of December, hypothetically, अभी अगर आप जाओगे डैशबोर्ड पे reschedule का ऑप्शन होगा. So you can
reschedule. You can reschedule. Yeah, absolutely. It's still the first attempt. Okay. एक खाली चीज है, again not directly connected, but I'm just trying to give you the logic as to why NM is not accepting the second attempt now. Till a few years ago, NMIMS Mumbai owned NMAT as a paper. So when you took second attempt and third attempt, the money used to go to NMIMS. Now NMAT has sold this paper to GMAT, to Prometric or GMAT? Prometric, na?
GMAC.
GMAC. हाँ, GMAC को बेच दिया है. The paper is now owned, so the second attempt, third attempt fees goes to GMAC, not to NMAT. So उन्होंने तब से बंद कर दिया. बहुत सिंपल है, प्योर बनिए वाला काम किया है. We can quibble about it, but that's the reality. कि पहला attempt ही काम करे तुम्हारे.
So students are asking, why do then people look at second attempt? Because they're looking at other colleges. Not everybody is just looking at NMIMS. They're looking at other colleges as well. Second run, third run colleges would be there. GP एक मैं ये ले लेता हूँ because ये XAT तक वेट नहीं करते, because ये थोड़ा important question है. कि प्रोफाइल के बेसिस पे, we say there are multiple parameters basis which you should decide which exam to write as well. We generally state that. आप कैटेगरी स्टूडेंट हो तो आपको पता है कि एनएम में कैटेगरी नहीं होता. ऑन द फ्लिप साइड एससी एसटी हो तो स्नैप में होता है. इनफैक्ट दैट्स अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट अबाउट स्नैप. स्नैप में हमेशा एससी एसटी का कट ऑफ बहुत लो होता है. सो इफ यू आर एससी एसटी, प्लीज इंश्योर स्नैप तो लिख ही रहे हो, बिकॉज वेरी हाई चांस ऑफ गेटिंग एसआईबीएम पुणे एससीएमएचआरटी. दिस इज अनदर थिंग कि मेरा प्रोफाइल इज वीक. शुड आई एक्चुअली बी लुकिंग एट दीज एग्जाम्स, बिकॉज इज इट पॉसिबल?
Outside CAT, if you look at NMAT and SNAP, by and large, they will not look at your profile for the interview calls. That's the first thing which you need to remember. There may be a small weightage for it in the interview, after the interview, but for the interview call, there's nothing. So, bilkul likhna hai, don't worry about your profile. And if I remember correctly, Snap mein to profile ka, even for the final call, there's no weightage. Okay, they may have changed it, but still a couple of cases.
Yeah, GPA. This is it for the final. I have it here.
Okay, yeah. So Snap score, yeah, that's what I was saying. Okay, it is only the written test score and the GD interview which will decide. So भैया इस पेपर के लिए प्रोफाइल का कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Unlike IIMs, which will look at your 10th, 12th, graduation, every stupid thing that you have done in terms of academics. Here, they will not worry about anything. So, very good paper for those who do not, who have messed up their 10th, 12th for graduation. And remember, we've still not talked about the colleges which Gautam started to talk to. मैं बीच में interrupt कर दिया था. The colleges which are important here, the top two colleges are SIBM Pune and SCMHRD Pune. And while many people apply to SIBM and do not apply to SCMHRD, I think this is incorrect. There's hardly any difference between the two, and you should consider both of them favorably. While SCMHRD has a kind of a niche in the HR domain, even SIBM is very good for HR. Similarly, SIBM is by and large considered good for or better than SCMHRD for finance and marketing, but even SCMHRD provides almost the same level of placements. So when you look at the two institutes, there's very little to differentiate between the two. So, and these are the two top institutes which you should definitely be applying. And the interview call is typically at about 97-98 percentile, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. That's been interesting, GP. Generally, SIBM Pune was always a clear-cut winner. 98, 98.2, 98.4 tak deta tha. Last year, SIBM Pune's cutoff was 98 and SCMHRD was 98.2. So that was very interesting.
SIBM had a lower batch size also. So I don't know if they have increased their batch size. So iski wajah se ho gaya, but ultimately, to me, if I have to choose between SIBM and SCMHRD, let me assume I have both the calls. Maybe I'll go to SIBM Pune because that's the older institute. But if I don't get to SIBM Pune, I get only SCMHRD, I'll not be unhappy. I'll be saying, okay, same institute, koi farak nahi padta. Placements ultimately almost similar, not much of a difference between the two.
Correct.
Okay,
GP, this one I'll post to you, because I remember very well that this is something you used to, very vociferously tell students कि भैया अगर आप SC/ST हो तो please do not miss out on SNAP, because इसका cutoff बहुत low. That's why I think ideal question.
See, the interesting thing is that most of these students who are from the reserve category, unfortunately, do not seem to be aware that there's a reservation out here. That there's a reservation for SC/ST, PWD. I think they have also started the OBC reservation. Earlier, it was not there.
Kashmiri migrant.
Kashmiri migrant is another category which many people miss out on. Okay, so to me, as far as this paper is concerned, as far as SNAP is concerned, if you belong to PWD, SC, ST, OBC, or Kashmiri migrant category, please apply for it. All the top programs. So SIBM Pune, SCMHRD Pune, SIIB Pune, SIBM Bangalore, SIOM Nasik. These are the top 5 institutes in the order. SIBM and SCMHRD normally are considered to be 1 and 2. I personally think SIIB Pune is slightly better than SIBM Bangalore, but many people who think otherwise, and I don't have any qualms with that. To me, they are fairly close to each other. SIIB Pune, being an older institute with a bigger alumni base, normally tends to get slightly better placement, but not too much of a difference between the two. And SIOM Nasik is an excellent institute for operations. It is Symbiosis Institute of Operation Management. And if you look at the top e-commerce players, all of them tend to go to SIOM to pick stones from there. So if you're looking at getting into a Flipkart, Amazon, and other e-commerce and kind of players, then that is the place to be after the top IMs and especially. Okay, so ye bilkul dalna hai. So if you are an engineer, you are comfortable going through operations. Even if you are not an engineer, you are okay with operations. You don't have an issue with the basic, let's say, numbers kind of stuff. Then DI खेलने में पसंद है तो भैया operations कर सकते हो. So that is what you need to look at. These are the top 5 institutes. And when it comes to the cutoff, while SIBM Pune, SCMHRD, we have all said about 97-98 percentile. SIIB Pune and SIMB Bangalore, they tend to play a little around, while typically SIIB Pune is 90 to 92 percentile, while SIBM Bangalore can be as high as 95 percentile or as low as 90 percentile. Okay, so it's difficult to comment because they tend to play around with this one. And these are general category cutoffs that I'm talking about. SIOM will be between 85 to 90. Okay? SIOM has a comparatively lower cutoff purely because it is only operations, and many people just don't apply because operations hai. So जिन्होंने BCom किया होता है कहते हैं I don't want to. It is somehow assumed it is only for engineers, which is incorrect. Okay, it's even if you're from an arts background or commerce background, you're basically comfortable with numbers, and you just go through the syllabus of operation. You'll realize it is not any different from a regular MBA program. It has got a extra focus on operation, but by and large, it is a similar program. Okay. Then, when it comes to the cutoffs for the SC/ST, fairly low. I've seen years where it was a situation was if you are a SC or ST candidate and you have applied, you will get a call. Okay. Now that was unfortunate purely because of the number of applications. But typically, I would say, if you are from a SC/ST category, maybe about 50 percentile also you'll get calls from these colleges. On the higher side, that could be 60-65. So these are colleges you should definitely be applying to if you belong to any of the reserve categories.
Score of GP around 23, 25 plus is good enough generally if you're from SC/ST to get a call.
Yeah.
Okay. Atul had this question because we were just talking about this now.
Okay. Atul, I'm coming to the next level. Now, there's a very interesting institute called SIMS, Symbiosis Institute of Management Sciences, Pune based again. Now, this has got 90% reservation for students who are wards of defense personnel. So, if you happen to be a ward of defense personnel and you are taking SNAP, please apply to SIMS. SIMS is a very good college, not as well known as the others which I've talked about, but from a placement perspective, it will be at par with something like a SIIB Pune. Okay, so it has got 90% seats for wards of defense personnel and 10% open category seats. Okay, so defense personnel children, please do apply here. Good institute placements are at par with SIIB Pune, not SCMHRD, SIBM Pune, but a notch below that. Okay. After this, there are other institutes which again are like SITM, Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management. There's a SCISR. There's one more institute. I'm just trying to recollect the name.
SSBBF.
Not banking and finance. There's another one which is telecom oriented or IT oriented. SCIT.
SIDTM.
Telecom management and IT together. Now all of these they look more like IT kind of a thing, but they are and some of them will have a bias towards engineers because of the kind of program they are running. But these are all good institutes, and if you are not averse to technology per se, you should apply for it. And their placements happen to be similar to each other, whether it is SICSR, Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management, or the other one which we are just talking about. जैसे नाम दिमाग में आता है बताता हूं मैं. Okay? So please do apply to these as a backup if you want. So this is a gradation. Top 2, SIBM Pune, SCMHRD. Next three happen to be SIIB Pune, SIBM Bangalore, SIOM Nasik. Then comes SIMS, which is at par with these three, but I keep it separate because of 90% reservation. Then you have the next 2-3 institutes. Okay, and banking finance again is a decent institute. The placements are a bit, I would say, on the lower side because possibly there's a niche program. The placements have not really picked up so much. And from an ROI perspective, which some of you are asking for, it might be a bit of a challenge. But I would say the top 7-8 institutes are something you can definitely consider favorably.
Correct. Okay, so there are 2-3 questions here. Registration for SNAP is over. Yes, it is over. Students are asking about that exam pattern. We'll talk about that. GP, your favorite topic. Is the NMAT exam actually adaptive?
Yeah, इसमें बहुत confusion है. Now, when we say typically an adaptive paper, it means the question will change depending on the answers you are given. So both of us, supposing Gautam Baba and Gautam Puri, both of them are taking the paper, both of get the same first question. If he answers it correctly, he gets a different question. If I answer it incorrectly, I get a different question. Gautam's question should be slightly more difficult than the first one. Gautam Puri's question should be slightly easier because I messed up with the first one. That is typically what an adaptive paper is. Now, I don't think NMAT follows it. I think they are making it adaptive in some other way. It is not adaptive in the strictest sense where every question-wise adaptive thing happens. I think what they do is in every paper there are certain benchmark questions based on which they try to gauge the level. So there will be some 4-5 questions in every section which are common across a few papers, and based on that they work out on the degree of difficulty. This is what Prometric used to do when CAT went online beginning in 2009. So 2009 to 13 papers, they were computer based tests, they were not adaptive papers, and they used to normalize the papers across slots by using certain benchmark questions. My feeling is that is what NMAT does. Okay, and why do I say that? Because I have taken this paper in different ways. In a particular section, in the first 10 questions, I did blind guessing. First 10 questions, some may CCC mark. Obviously, most of them have to be wrong. Okay, but the subsequent questions were not easier. They were still the same level or high level of difficulty. When I did the same thing in, let's say, reasoning, I made them at the middle 10 questions, I just blindly marked the answer. It was, and I did that because मुझे input output पसंद नहीं है, वही आ रहे थे वहां पे, तो मैंने सबको blindly mark कर दिया. Again, there was no change in the level of difficulty of questions afterwards. And in quant, I kept on doing the paper in the correct manner, and the last 10 questions I just blindly marked a particular answer. Again, my scores did not go down significantly. So that makes me think maybe it is not adaptive in the strictest sense of the word. In any case, what I would say is whether it is adaptive or not, something we cannot say. We'll just have to take their word for it. Your job as a student is very simple. In NMAT, I will look at the question, आता है mark करूंगा, नहीं आता कुछ भी mark करके आगे जाऊंगा, because as long as I have done some 25, 26 genuine correct attempts, I know I will get a good score. On top of that, if my top the first 10, 12 questions are genuinely correct or well attempted, most probably I'm very safe. Okay? So difficult for me to comment ki adaptive hai ki nahi unless GMAT comes out with a very clear guideline on this.
Interesting question from Namit, sir. Is it even possible to cross 234? The AI won't let me cross it. Yes, it is. I wrote it. I have crossed it this year, so it is possible. I'll just leave it at that.
But अगर कोई नहीं क्रॉस करेगा तो कट ऑफ नीचे आ ही जाएगा ना.
Obviously,
Why will
so,
AI
yeah.
not allow you to do it? अगर तुम्हें नहीं करेगा बाकियों को भी नहीं allow करेगा.
Correct. We'll move to MICAT. So there are a couple of students again stating मेरा ये profile है. So मेरे लिए what will be the cutoff for NMAT and SNAP? I think GP has stressed on it enough. We don't want to repeat it, but I'll just give a very short synopsis. Profile does not matter. For NMAT, please aim for a 235 plus overall, 76 plus in every section. For SNAP, generally the cutoff hovers around the 98.2 percentile across SIBM Pune and SCMHRD. 45 plus का score generally safe होता है. थोड़े years में 40 plus भी safe होता है. LOD change होते रहता है. We can't comment on it. Do not worry about profile when it comes to these exams. Okay. MICAT is something that GP spoke about a lot right up front. So I don't want to spend too much time on this other than, the part that I was talking about. Look at the paper pattern, which is visible on your screen right now. Like I pointed out, psychometric एक test होता है, which is different. Psychometric test में basically what they're trying to check is there consistency in your answers? Which means मैं आपको starting में एक question दे दूंगा, जिसमें एक simple सा scenario दूंगा और उसमें 5 option दे दूंगा. मैं आपको later on, after 50-60 questions, एक similar question दूंगा. वर्डिंग थोड़े चेंज करके सेम क्वेश्चन, वर्डिंग चेंज करके सेम ऑप्शंस के साथ, और मैं देखना चाहता हूं देयर इज कंसिस्टेंसी और नॉट. इज देयर कंसिस्टेंसी ऑन व्हाट यू स्टेट, और आर यू जस्ट ट्राइंग टू मेक अस हैप्पी, और आर यू जस्ट ट्राइंग टू फूल द सिस्टम? दैट इज अ साइकोमेट्रिक थिंग that we look at. It's very different from a psychometric exam that companies look at, because there they are trying to map you with the values of the firm. Here that is not what is happening, so don't get too overwhelmed by it. That is one. Second, यहाँ पे एक डिस्क्रिप्टिव टेस्ट होता है. यहाँ पे क्या होता है, आपको एसेज लिखने होते हैं. जनरली 2 ऐसे 4 होते हैं, आपको 2 लिखने को बोलते हैं. 25 मिनट्स के आसपास इज द टाइम दैट यू हैव. क्रिएटिविटी इज समथिंग दैट दे लुक एट. ओके, सो इफ यू हैव अ क्रिएटिव बेंट ऑफ माइंड, दिस इज समथिंग दैट you'll end up doing well. As you can see in section C, it is nothing but quant, verbal, divergent convergent reasoning is basically your analytical reasoning, and finally GK. The different thing about this paper is the number of options in the questions could be 4, could be 5, could be 8. It keeps changing question on question as well. You'll find a few questions where multiple answers can be correct as well. So you'll need to keep an eye out on that. Second thing to keep in mind is ये ऐसा पेपर है. Look at the number of questions, 20, 40, 60, 80, right? Positive, negative marking है. You might end up scoring only 25 or 30. As long as you meet the minimum cutoff, which changes every year, it is good enough, because after that they start looking at your descriptive test. कि डिस्क्रिप्टिव में आपने कैसा लिखा. That's all that matters. So it's not that if you score a 45, they will surely call you. Nor is it that if you score a 25, if 25 is the cutoff, they will not call you. Descriptive test then, plays the key. Psychometric agar fail kar gaye, irrespective of how you've done in the others, you are ineligible. So these are few things that you need to keep in mind with respect to this paper. It is slightly different from all others. Okay? Is it necessary to answer all 150? Ideally, yes, you should be answering all 150. जो आप answer नहीं करते हो incorrect, मतलब वो answer और कुछ हो जाता है. So psychometric is one where you should answer all. Okay. GP, anything you'd like to add in MICAT?
No, I think that's fine. That's good enough.
Perfect. And like we pointed out, marketing में interest है, advertising में interest है, luxury marketing and boutique marketing firms बहुत आती हैं यहाँ पे. So if you are interested in those sort of streams, those sort of areas, please have a look at this exam. Even if you missed MICAT 1, MICAT 2 100% apply कर लेना. 25th of January को है. You have enough time to prep as well. Okay. Let's move to the elephant in the room, because why will I call it the elephant in the room? Because this is something that everybody wants to talk about, but we've not picked it up till now, right? The second most important exam, and now that CAT is done, the most important exam that you're going to have now. Okay, very important exam. You are aware of XLRI. Both XLRI, Jamshedpur and NCR, two important campuses. There are other campuses which are other colleges which are important as well. XIMB is important, IMT Ghaziabad is important, IMI is important. So there are various other colleges that look at this as a paper as well. And this question is slightly, this paper is slightly different. Mehul, I'll pick up your question after we are done with XAT. Okay, I know you've pointed it out 4-5 times, but I'm just calling it out. So this paper is also slightly different, and the interesting thing about it is it has a unique section altogether जो और कहीं नहीं आता. So let's actually get a little deeper into this. This is what the paper looks like. This was, there is a slight difference here as compared to the previous years. And in case somebody is aware of that, it will be good if you put it in the chat box. Otherwise, I'll get into it. Two things which have changed. Number one, last year तक GK के थोड़े ज़्यादा questions होते थे, time भी थोड़ा ज़्यादा होता था, because part 2 or part 3 of the paper used to have GK and along with that essay writing. This year, essay writing is out of the picture. Essay writing will happen at the VAT stage. That means in stage 2. XAT would not have essay writing or VAT in stage 2. It would have it in stage 1, okay, during the paper. This year it is changing. XLRI is stating we will take it in stage 2. That means there is no essay writing that you'll have in this paper, number one. Number two, number of GK questions has reduced marginally, gone down to 20 from 25. So 20 questions, negative marking nahi hai GK mein, so enjoy yourself, have fun, like NMAT. If you don't know, mark something and move ahead. The second change is, last year there were 175 minutes, if I am not wrong, in part 1. This year that has also reduced a little. It is down to 170 minutes. And part 1 entails verbal reasoning, verbal ability, which is English, quantitative ability and DI, which comes together, and the third section, which is decision making, which is very different from something that you've done till date. The interesting thing, however, about decision making is this is something you've been doing at least for the last 10-15 years of your life, if not more. Why do I say that? 10-11 साल की उम्र से आप लोग डिसीजन मेक करके कोई ना कुछ कॉल्स ले रहे हो, एंड लास्ट 4-5 साल से ऑलमोस्ट लाइक एन अडल्ट ले रहे हो, एंड यू आर डिसाइडिंग द कोर्स ऑफ योर लाइफ. दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट दे आर एक्सपेक्टिंग यू टू डू हियर, विद अ कपल ऑफ थिंग्स ऑफ ethicality playing a very important role, logical bent of mind playing an important role, and all stakeholders involved in that particular situation being considered. These are few things that you need to take into consideration. Over to you, GP, with that.
Yeah. Now that as such, if you look at the paper, is again, as Gautam said, an interesting paper. Couple of things which differentiates it from CAT. First of all, is the amount of time which you have. Here you have 170 minutes for roughly the same number of questions which CAT gives. If you add the 3, it will be about 75 odd questions. 20, 76, 75. Okay, 75 questions, 170 minutes, while CAT is 68 questions in 120 minutes. So the time available is almost 1.5 times that of CAT per question. So from that point of view, it's a very positive thing for you, because that means you're not rushing through the paper at all. Unlike CAT, which is difficult to complete in 120 minutes, those 68 questions, here in 170 minutes, you can comfortably complete the paper if you know the answer, if you know how to solve the question. So you'll not leave a question because of lack of time, first thing. Second thing is, there's no sectional time limit, which means you can spend as much time as you want in a particular section. Obviously, the onus of time management then comes down to you. When I say onus of time management, you have to decide how much time in each of the three sections. You have to decide which section you have to attempt first, which one to do second, which one to do third. And or if you want to follow any other pattern, that's completely up to you. कि 15 मिनट वर्बल करेंगे, आधा घंटा डीएम करेंगे, 20 मिनट क्वांट करेंगे, फिर कुछ और करेंगे. You can play around the way you want, and then that gives the flexibility of doing the paper the way you are most comfortable with. Okay? However, that also comes with the responsibility of managing time. For example, you decided that quantitative ability, I will start, I'll give myself 60 minutes. Instead of 60, you give 80 minutes. Obviously, it is going to impact the other sections. So that time management responsibility is completely yours now. Okay? Given the kind of paper which is there, typically you'll find decision making, if you have done something like 45 to 50 minutes, is good enough. If spending extra time in decision making is not going to help you get the answer, it is only going to make you more and more confused. Same thing with verbal and logical ability. Something like 50 to 55 minutes is good enough, and quantitative ability 55 to 60 minutes. So roughly 45, 50, 55, 50, 55, 60. That kind of a thing is what you need to look at. Please remember, anything less than 45 minutes in decision making, anything less than 50 minutes in verbal logic, and anything less than 55 minutes in quantitative aptitude is going to be insufficient. So I'm giving the lower limit. If you add the three lower limits, it becomes 150 minutes. 45 plus 50 plus 55. That leaves you with 20 minutes. Now, where do you want to put those 20 minutes is completely up to you. Someone would say, I want to put it in quant because that is why I'll maximize my score. Perfectly fine. Someone else could say, I take a little more time to read and understand those difficult RC passages. Hence, I want to put extra time in verbal. That is also fine. So, how you split that 20 minutes is entirely up to you. Okay? But please make sure, whether it is verbal logic or decision making, you are not spending extra time to get the hang of the passage, because that means you are possibly going to be wasting time. Most of the time, I would say it is only quantitative ability where you need to put that extra time. In the worst case, I will say 50 minutes for decision making, 55 minutes for verbal logic, 105 minutes quant, 65 minutes for quant. Okay, because quant is the only section where you will, if you work your way through those questions, you will be able to get the answers. Okay. Secondly, when we come to let me go through the three sections. Verbal and logical ability, 26 questions. Typically 13 to 15 questions would be reading comprehension. The passages are shorter, maybe 1/3 to half the length of CAT. They have typically a poem comprehension also. A poem would be given with 2 questions from a comprehension standpoint. And the balance 13 questions, let's say, would be spread over 4 to 5 passages. There will be RC passages with 2 questions up to 4 questions, or 2 to 4 questions, and something like 5 RC passages. It could be 4 passages, it could be 6 also. Or as a ballpark, you can take it 5 passages. Okay? And the balance 10 to 12 questions would be of sentence correction, verbal ability, which means vocabulary, analogies, maybe maybe a couple of critical reasoning questions also, which is parasummary kind of questions. Fill in the blanks could be there. So we can say 10 to 12 questions of verbal and about 15 odd questions of comprehension is the kind of paper that we are dealing with. The level of difficulty, or the level of let me say readability of the RC passages in XAT, and the readability of the critical reasoning or the parasummary passages in XAT is going to be much higher than what you have seen in CAT. So if you have to practice something for this paper, it is the verbal part which has to be practiced. And the best source for you is going to be the old XAT papers. Look at all XAT papers from 2008. I think XAT 2008 onwards, all papers are available in your MyZone on Career Launcher. Gautam, you can just confirm it if it is correct.
Yes.
But अगर 2008 नहीं तो 2010 से होंगे, but almost all the papers. And my strong recommendation would be, please do the verbal and logical ability of all these papers so that you get a hang of the kind of passages which are there. Okay? Then comes decision making. Decision making earlier used to include analytical reasoning also, which means kind of a DI वाला data sets भी आते थे. अब बंद हो गया है. By and large, now we are talking about decision making of a situation. So you would be given a particular situation, and in that situation, based on logic, based on the decision criteria, based on the contingent, based on the issues which are in front of you, you have to take the right decision. Okay? These are all situation based. These are not mathematical in nature. So in a way, you have to read a paragraph, understand the situation, look at the constraints, and look at the requirements at that point of view, and hence take the right decision. The decision is based on the criteria. Please remember, my criteria is to maximize profit. My decision will be different. My criteria is to reduce cost. The decision could be different. My criteria is to increase employee satisfaction. The answer will be different. So the decision has to be based on the criteria. Most of the time, the criteria are given, and if they are not given, you need to decipher and then come out with this. And which is why I always maintain going through the decision making passages again and again is only going to be confusing for you. What you need to do is understand the situation, treat it like a case study, which some of you would have done in your college. Treat it like a case study, understand the facts of the case, the constraints, and the criteria required to make the decision, and accordingly take the answer. Okay. Coming to the third section, which is quantitative ability and data interpretation. Uh, 28, you can broadly break it into 18 to 20 of quant and about three sets of DILR. Okay, it is not only DILR.
Huh? There were 4 last year. Last year there were 4, 3, 3, 3, and 2.
Yeah.
11 last year.
Okay. Yeah. So this keeps on varying, which is why I said about 18 to 20 is what you can look at. It has gone to as low as 16 also. It has gone to as high as 20 also. Okay. So something like 3, maybe 4. And there was a year in which there were 2 passages also. So it varies. But a ballpark of about 10 to 12 questions of DILR and about 17, 18 questions of quant is what you are looking at. The level of difficulty of quant, or let's say the topics or the paper structure of quant, is very, very similar to CAT now. That was not the case earlier, but if you look at the last 6 years papers, these papers have become very close to each other. Okay? Which means that has almost become like CAT as far as quantitative ability is concerned. And DILR again is there. And if you look at this year's, if I compare it with this year's CAT paper, the DI sets of this year, which were doable, is what you would expect in the XAT also. Till last year, the DILR sets were by and large such that out of 4, if you did 2, you had done a terrific job. This was the first year after many years where I've seen that out of the almost all 5 sets, if not all 5, at least 4 out of 5 were doable by practically everyone. Okay, so and that's the kind of sets you can expect out here. Okay, however, please remember that there will be also be passages or data sets which will require some kind of a, let's say, different kind of thinking. Okay? That is always possible. The graph might be differently structured, or it could be a different logic is required. So this is not something which you rush through. And as I said, given the time available, you don't have any reason of rushing through this paper. Okay? You need to be clear about which is the kind of section, which is the amount of time you want to spend in each of the sections, and stick to it. Okay, yes, and the other part is the cutoffs. Typically, if you look at verbal and decision making, 7 to 8 marks are a very good score. When I say from a cutoff perspective, okay. However, I would say typically if you get about a double-digit score in decision making and verbal logic, you are safe. You have done what you're supposed to do. And wait, how do I get those double-digit scores in verbal and logical ability? Look at that out of the 15 questions, out of those 15 questions of RC, and that 10 to 11 questions of verbal logic, break it down. In the verbal section, you can easily get 5-6 questions, 5-6 correct, and in the reading comprehension, again, you can get 5-6. So it is 5-6 out of each of the 2 will get you that double-digit score. Decision making, again, 7-8 is the kind of typical cutoff, but getting a 10 odd is not difficult. And you will find the question which you fed the most on, question on which you spend the maximum amount of time, are the ones where analysis paralysis will hit you, and you are going to usually get them incorrect. Okay. Third thing is the quantitative ability. Earlier, again, it was to be similar, but with the level of difficulty coming down, quantitative ability, a cutoff which is typically about 90 percentile, is likely to be about 13 odd marks. Okay, so what you need to be doing is look at the 50% score in QA, and then you can assume कि हाँ सब safe है, सब कुछ हो गया है. Overall, if you look at from a overall score point of view, typically 30 plus used to be a good score, but now I would say given that the level of difficulty of quant has come down, a 35 should be the target score in this particular paper. And unlike CAT, where the level of difficulty varies from year to year. Yes, there's a variation in level of difficulty of for XAT also, but not as much as in CAT. Which is why if you get a 35 odd, most probably you'll be something like a 96, 97 percentile or higher in this particular paper. And that is a very good score because the overall cutoff for getting an interview call from XLRE Jamshedpur is typically about 30, 32 marks, which is close to 92, 93 percentile. Okay. So 35 odd is safe. But yes, if you're 40 plus, you're definitely much, much better off. Okay. So that's broadly it. I don't know, Gautam, if I missed something, या कुछ cover हो गया क्या?
Yeah, GB, mostly covered. Just 2-3 things that students are asking. One, are there mocks for XAT? Yes, there are. The first mock is on the 30th. So please go ahead and have a look at it. I've just shared the link in the chat box as well. Second, some of you all are asking, what is this mock keyboard testing, which is part 2. Basically, होता क्या है? Part 1 में आप keyboard नहीं use कर रहे, खाली mouse use कर रहे हो. So उसके बाद to go ahead and check whether the keyboard that has been given to you is operational or not, इसलिए एक mock keyboard testing होता है, ठीक है? So don't worry too much about it. Forget about it. Third part, GP, and that's something which I thought that I'll put it here. I just downloaded it from the XAT website itself.
Because important चीज भूल गया था मैं.
Yeah,
Gender and engineer or engineer.
Yeah, that's why I thought I'll just put it up. तो ये XAT official है, हम मेकअप नहीं कर रहे और कहीं से नहीं निकाला. Officially from the XAT. As you can look at this, last year, and these are the percentile cutoffs that were there. So corresponding score obviously alag hai. For example, like GP pointed out, if you scored roughly around 35, 36, it will be close to a 95, 96 percentile. And if you scored say close to about 31, 30, 31, it will be closer to about a 91, 92 percentile. So it will be something like that. If you have a look at this very clearly, there are differential cutoffs basis your academic background, which means whether you're an engineer or a non-engineer, and basis your gender, which means the lowest cutoff is for a non-engineer female. If I'm looking at it from a BM program, it's at 90 percentile with sectionals predominantly at 80 plus. DM में they wanted 81. I don't know why. 81 कोई specific reason हुआ होगा कि इससे ज़्यादा लोग हम interview नहीं करना चाहते, probably ऐसा कुछ होगा. Similarly, if you look at it from an engineer male, the cutoff is highest there. It's a 96 percentile, where if you start looking at sectionals, it's 86, 83, 85. So what that predominantly tells you is, quant perspective से अगर दोनों clear करना 86 plus, I would say 90 plus, because if we go back 2 years ना, quant का cutoff was 90 percentile. So I would state 90 percentile would be a safe thing to bet on when it comes to quant. When it comes to verbal, 85 is a safe score. नीचे जाके देखो, आप जब HRM में देख रहे हो, suddenly you are seeing engineer male से verbal में expected is 90 percentile. So things have suddenly changed. Okay, so verbal, once again, if I'll start looking at both programs, you need a 90 percentile again. Okay, basis the last few years. And when we look at DM, you can see the highest is 86 for a non-engineer male, which means once again 86, 87 तो कोई target नहीं कर सकता 90 के आसपास. So safe क्या हुआ? Look at 90, 90, 90 sectional and overall 96 plus. If you're a GEM, that's basically the way to look at it. And if you're a general non-engineer female, what it will be is all on the screen. But this is a slightly complicated DX set in front of you. Decode it. We've tried decoding it. Decode it, because this is what XAT has been, or XLRI rather, has been following for the last 2 years. And I will keep repeating, जनरल इंजीनियर मेल से बोथ HRM एंड BM में एक्सपेक्टेशन थोड़ी हायर होती है, ठीक है? सो प्लीज कीप दैट इन माइंड. या जीपी, एनीथिंग यू वांट टू ऐड?
नहीं, आई थिंक यही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज थी जो मिस कर गया था मैं. एंड गुड यू डाउनलोडेड इट. एंड एक चीज और याद रख लो, as far as XLRE is concerned, they have a common interview panel for both the institutes. It is not that there's a separate list for XL Jamshedpur and a separate list for XL Delhi NCR. It's the same pool of candidates. Those who are on the higher ranking of that pool of candidates after the interview go to Jamshedpur. The next one gets to NCR Delhi. So because in the last 3-4 years the cutoff has also come down because XLRI NCR has gained traction and more people are applying for it. So the capacity has also increased. So they have to call more students. But please apply to both. I am repeating myself. Please apply to both. The interview is common for both. The interview call list is common for both. Okay, so don't miss out on this aspect.
I can't remember. Is there reservation in XLRI?
No reservation.
No reservation, no? Yeah, exactly.
No
That's what I felt.
reservation.
So those of you asking OBC का क्या होगा? कोई reservation है नहीं. Okay, so please be wary of that. Couple of
गौतम,
y'all are asking. हाँ,
हाँ,
GP.
ये कुछ पूछ रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स,
No, no,
नॉट एबल टू फाइंड दैट PYQ.
it is there. A couple of others had already pointed out in the chat box कि 2008 to 2016 already available है. 17 to 23 मॉक्स के फॉर्मेट में है. So that is why it's there in two different places. So please go ahead and have a look at it. A couple of students are asking कि logical reasoning ZAT में जो आता है वो CAT के जैसा होता है कि नहीं? वो logical reasoning नहीं है. What GP was trying to state is DI which comes along with quant, not DILR. So there is no LR here. Okay, so don't worry. ठीक है. So snap का पेपर्स नहीं खुल रहा क्योंकि snap के पेपर्स नहीं है बिकॉज snap रिलीज नहीं करता है पेपर्स. स्नैप मेमोरी बेस्ड होता है. आप भी जब स्नैप लिख के आओगे उसके बाद वो पेपर आपको मिलेगा नहीं. आपको कोई आइडिया नहीं होगा आपको कितना मिल रहा है. ट्रांसपेरेंसी थोड़ी कम है. Okay, so there are no snap papers available outside in the market. It's all memory based. If you want to have a look at some of the memory based questions, I had taken a session 30 days to snap few days back. I had solved about 15-20 questions there. It's on YouTube. You can go ahead and have a look at it just to understand कि वो कैसा होता है. ठीक है? Okay, perfect. The PYQPs are for free, guys. You don't need anything. If you're enrolled with us in any program, it is available. If you're not enrolled also, it is available in OpenCat. So please go to the OpenCat and have a look at it. Okay, cool. These are the important things from a ZAT perspective. How is it different? Like GP pointed out, I'm not going to spend too much time here. इस slide में एक mistake है. हमने 66 अभी भी लिखा है CAT में, वो 68 हो गया है. So time actually थोड़ा और कम हो गया है. वो 1.81 से 1.75 के आसपास आ गया होगा. So that has reduced a little bit more. But like GP pointed out, the interesting thing is you have more time. And like, you would have understood from what he's stating, 99 percentile, while CAT में हम बोलते थे around 50% of the total marks, यहाँ पे वो 50% नहीं है. I would say it's closer to about 60% of the total marks GP. Roughly around 42 के आसपास, 40-42 पे 99 आएगा. Because generally 35 के आसपास जो वो होता है वो around 95 होता है. So that is one thing that students should probably keep in mind कि वो थोड़ा expectation higher because time ज़्यादा है so वो होगा. Another thing is like GP was pointing out, this is a paper, especially if you start looking at last year's paper ना, this is a paper जहाँ ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि suddenly arithmetic की weightage बहुत ज़्यादा होगी. यहाँ पे अरिथमेटिक, एल्जिब्रा, ज्योमेट्री, मॉडर्न मैथ, नंबर्स ऑलमोस्ट सब इक्वल वेटेज में आते हैं. आप लास्ट ईयर का देखोगे यू विल सी मॉडर्न मैथ में देयर वर 3 क्वेश्चंस, नंबर्स में देयर वर 3 क्वेश्चंस, एल्जिब्रा देयर वर 4 क्वेश्चंस, ज्योमेट्री देयर वर 3 क्वेश्चंस, अरिथमेटिक देयर वर 3 क्वेश्चंस. ऐड कर लो सडनली दैट 16-17 क्वेश्चंस. So unlike other places where you will turn around and state मेरे को पता है arithmetic and algebra will take the cake 60-70%, यहाँ वो नहीं है. So which is why while you are preparing for your NMAT and SNAP, you're already going through modern math, you're already going through permutation, combination, and probability. That same thing is going to go, become very important here. So in all the upcoming exams, please keep in mind modern math is going to play an important role. Numbers are going to play an important role. Do not go in with this mindset. I saw a few of you all even for catch stating में खाली arithmetic algebra करके चले जाऊंगा हो जाएगा. मेरे अनुसार वो भी रिस्क था पर चलो आपने वो कर लिया. नाउ एटलीस्ट यू स्टिल हैव अबाउट 40 days टिल दैट. प्लीज कवर एवरीथिंग. यू हैव नो आइडिया किस साल क्या होगा और क्या कितना इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. प्लीज कवर एवरीथिंग एंड डू नॉट हैव अ स्ट्रैटेजी विच स्टेज मैं खाली डीआई के बेसिस पे निकल जाऊंगा. देयर हैव बीन ईयर्स जहां 4 के 4 डीआई भी नहीं कर पाते लोग, शायद 2 ही कर पाएंगे. So you don't know. Everything can't be based on just the last year. Please keep in mind, CAT is a very good example of that. Had you based everything on last year, your attempt this year would have been very awry, especially in DILR. So please keep this in mind. It will be very, very different. Okay. And you need to go ahead and prepare specifically for it. DM एक अलग section itself है. And उसके साथ साथ you need to write adequate number of mocks. Okay. So please keep these things in mind. GP, anything you want to add before probably we get to PDP?
I think सब हो गया. अच्छा, one thing, decision making के again, decision making, make sure you do all the, like for Zach verbal का था 2008 to 2024 all papers to be attempted. Same thing for decision making. 2008 to 2024 all decision making set questions to be attempted. You can ignore the analytical kind of thing, the DI kind of decision making sets, you can ignore them, but that's all you should definitely do. And as far as quant is concerned, just make sure you definitely do the last 6 years papers of that to get the hang of that paper. बाकी तो सब कुछ है, उसके अलावा बात कर चुके हैं.
पर्सपेक्टिव इज डीएम 1000 के काफी क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, डीएम 1000 आ रहा है एंड डीएम 1000 इज
Next Monday.
या दिस मंडे आई वुड एक्चुअली से, नेक्स्ट भी नहीं, दिस मंडे, कमिंग मंडे,
coming Monday.
in 6 days, in 6 days we are trying our level best कि वो इसी साल हो जाए. Okay, so let's try that. Sir, where can I get NMAT previous year question papers? Again, you can't. NMAT, like Snap, does not release it, so you can't get previous year PYQPs for these papers. So please don't worry about it, don't fret too much. Let's move to the next part.
गौतम, एक छोटी सी चीज, every year some smart students, what they will do is they'll start collecting questions of NMAT and create a group, either Telegram group or online कहीं पे. Please उसको join मत करना. If you are caught, you will be debarred. Your score will be cancelled. It has happened to students in the past. It is not worth the risk, frankly. Every year I find some students doing this. At least I will never recommend this thing to be done by anyone.
And if you want to know कि कैसा है, just look at our analysis. हमने memory based एटलीस्ट आपको बता दिया किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आए थे. That is what you need to know. सेम क्वेश्चन जान के कर भी क्या लोगे? You need to know the type, and that is there in our analysis. That's all that you should have a look at. Students are asking, will DM 1000 be chargeable? Obviously, मतलब additional product है, it will be chargeable, guys. GP, in case you want to pick this one up, last question over. It will not be free. It will not be free. It will be chargeable. The cost you will know when it's released. What kind of DI? I think interesting question hai, because this is not
again when you look at the last 5-6 years paper, you'll get it. Not very different from what you get in CAT, what you got in CAT this year. लास्ट ईयर तक ये थे, they were excessively difficult. Normally उतना मुश्किल नहीं आता है उसमें एग्जैक्ट में. Yes, there are always years जहाँ पे एक सेट मुश्किल हो गया, दो आसान हो गए, but they are similar to what you got this year, which means they were doable.
Another thing is GP, कई बार ZAT में थोड़ा कैलकुलेशन इंटेंसिव हो जाता है, कई बार. It will not, it's not necessary.
And ZAT does not give you a calculator. Unlike CAT, ZAT does not give you a calculator. तो भैया अपनी कैलकुलेशन सुधार लो तब तक.
So there will be 8 ZAT mocks for those who are asking. There'll be 8 ZAT mocks, and the first one of them starts on the 30th of November. Okay. Can we use Calci? GP has already answered कि Calci allowed ही नहीं. Sir, are Snap mocks of CL up to the real Snap level? Yes, I would say they are. I would even probably go ahead and state real Snap level बोलना इतनी difficult चीज है कि आप अगर तीनों attempt लोगे all 3 papers, you will come out and say इनमें से real कौन सा था, because the 3 of them itself will differ. So please don't try even figuring out real snap क्या है. एक snap के attempt के accordingly you will see the paper का the mock का level of difficulty higher है उस paper से, एक के attempt के basis में mock का level of difficulty lower है, और एक के basis में एकदम bang on है. That is exactly what happens sometimes, which is why when we give 8 mocks, we try to give differing level of difficulties as well, because you don't know what you will encounter on which date. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Okay.
One last thing with respect to ZAT. ZAT का जो final selection होता है XLRE, Jamshedpur and NCR का, it is based on almost 60 to 65% weightage is for ZAT score, and about 30 odd percent weightage is for your interview process. And
this time
balance
this time GP possible कि 5-10% और चले जाएगा stage 2 में, because they've shifted VAT. अब वो इधर है ही नहीं, वो VAT को वहां शिफ्ट कर गया है. हो सकता है 5-10% वहां.
So all I'm saying is between that and the interview process, about 90% weightage is done. So all the other things, 10th ka marks, work experience, graduation marks, or anything else, that is maximum of 10% weightage. So when you're looking at XLRI, Jamshedpur or NCR, what is the the two most important things are your interview and your ZAT score. Don't worry about profile at all. Yes, it will play a small role at the time of the interview call, as we saw कि engineer, male, non-engineer, female, ये variation है. But that's a very small variation if you look at, while percentile wise it might look high. In effect, it is 2 to 3 marks that we are looking at as a difference. So उसकी चिंता मत करो.
Yes. So 2 things. Number 1, students are asking, GP, will we do the mock analysis of ZAT mocks like we did for CAT on YouTube? We will handpick and do it. Might not happen for all 8. We'll pick up this EDC pros. Even in ZAT, the ZAT pros, we'll pick it up and we'll do the mock analysis on YouTube. Yes. Second is, student is asking, I was just filling up the ZAT form, which programs to apply. And this I think is important again. We had spoken about this in our last session. on the day of the CAT exam. And I'll want to reiterate this, something that GP had pointed out a little at the beginning as well, कि जब apply कर रहे हो दोनों campus करना and ensure कि BM and HRM दोनों को apply करना. I'll further, go a little deeper into this because I saw a couple of students saying, I am not interested in HRM, should I look at it? यार टू पार्ट्स. नंबर वन तो सबसे पहले दोनों को इसलिए अप्लाई करना है बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे व्हेन इट कम्स टू प्लेसमेंट्स, if I am a consulting firm, if I am a product management firm, if I am startups, if I am an operations firm, your Amazons of the world, your Swiggies of the world, your Microsofts of the world, your Googles of the world, your Meta of the world, your consults, which is BCG, Bain, McKinsey, Accenture, all of these, they do not care whether you are from HRM or from BM. Okay, shortlist will come for both dependent upon the existing criteria. So even if you end up going to HRM, ये necessity नहीं है कि HR करोगे. So please get that out of your head. Do not worry about that at this point in time at all. Do not think companies खाली मेरे को HR रोल के लिए देगी. नहीं होगा यार, जनरल मैनेजमेंट के लिए भी आएगा. डाबर will come, Aditya Birla Group will come, all of these tasks will come. General management के लिए you will go ahead and get access even if you're in HRM. So I would urge you to apply to both programs. GMP, GP, what is your take? Because a few students are asking about GMP.
Yeah, GMP is, I think it has got a work ex requirement, na?
GMP has work
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. 2 years work ex requirement hai. A decent program. If you can consider it like a backup program if you don't get anything else, anything else which is from a top college. So देख सकते हो उसको. Okay, so but that's fine. Okay.
Perfect. If possible, please upload that 2016 to 24 papers also in time manner, like the CAT PYQPs. We'll do that actually. For the last 6-7 years, we'll put it as a mock itself.
16 se जरूरत नहीं. I think 18 or 19 onward should be good enough.
Last 6-7 years, GP, we'll do that. 24 to 18 to 24 types. जो है, we'll go ahead and do that. That will go ahead and help you all. So I think this should be enough with respect to that at this point in time. On this Friday, I am also taking an open session for XAT online classes in case there's anybody who's interested in enrolling just for a XAT online classes. Some of you, if you have already enrolled in our MBA online classes, this is a part of it. If you already enrolled in XAT online classes or a non-CAT online classes, it's a part of it. So this Friday at 9:30, I'm going to take a session on that. I'll get deeper into XAT at that point in time. We'll look at, further bifurcation of the paper pattern, कि quant के अंदर किन topic से कितने आते हैं, RCs के genres क्या आते हैं, किस type के आते हैं, poem का मतलब क्या होता है, what are the different types of questions that come, cutoffs क्या हुए over the last few years. We'll get into all of that, so do not worry. Okay, do catch me on Friday. Friday is, I think, the 29th, okay, at 9:30 p.m. Now let's get to the last part. Some of you are saying CMAT and MHCT की बात करो, उसके लिए हम एक अलग session रखेंगे. This is already stretched a little. Let's get to the last part, which is PDP. GP, your take. So, students are asking, and I'll pick up Mehul's question here because Mehul had stated, I have tried out the score calculator. I am in slot 2. My lowest minimum score is expected to be 89 and maximum is expected to be 114. So between 89 to 114. What can I expect, and should I kickstart PDP? I am adding that last part. Should I kickstart PDP? So slot 2, 89 to 114. मैं बीच का भी कुछ ले लूँ, 90, 95 भी अगर आ गया, I think very very good score. 99 percentile plus almost guaranteed है. अब पीडीपी शुरू करना है कि नहीं, वो तुम्हें कॉल लेना है कि भैया मेरी लाइफ हिस्ट्री कितनी है, मेरे को खुद से कितना प्यार है, मैं एक्चुअली इन बी स्कूल्स में जाना चाहता हूं कि नहीं. Because if you want to, stage 2 is going to be equally important, if not more important than stage 1, because this is a process of selection. Elimination would be done. In this process of selection, they are interested to know a little bit more about you and understand whether the kind of values you have, the kind of person you are, is in sync with the kind of students who join them. Okay, so that's predominantly what they are seeing. उसमें they will test a little bit of your knowledge in terms of undergraduation subjects to see यार जो चीज आपने डिसाइड की थी आपको करना है, जिस चीज में आप पैशनेट हो, उसमें एक्चुअली नॉलेज होता है कि नहीं, पैशनेट होते हो कि नहीं. क्योंकि आप आके बोल रहे हो कि मैं तो एमबीए के लिए बहुत पैशनेट हूँ, तो मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ कि आपका अंडर ग्रेजुएशन सब्जेक्ट्स का नॉलेज इसलिए टेस्ट होता है बिकॉज वो इंपेरिकल एविडेंस ढूंढ रहे हैं। आप बोल रहे हो मैं पैशनेट हूँ, एमबीए करना चाहता हूँ, जिंदगी में ये करना चाहता हूँ, तो बोलते इससे पहले भी तुम पैशनेट थे अंडर ग्रेजुएशन में कुछ करने के लिए, इंपेरिकल एविडेंस देख लेते हैं वो चीजें तुम्हें थोड़ी बहुत याद है कि नहीं, अगर है तो शायद यहाँ पे भी तुम कुछ अच्छा कर लोगे। दैट इज वन। सेकंड, दे वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट यू. Who are you as a person? What are the things that you think of? What do you like to do in general? Will you be able to handle this kind of pressure? Will you be able to go ahead and intermingle with the different kind of people who are going to be? Will you be able to handle this stress? Will you only go ahead and look at books, or will you be able to go ahead and work on different aspects of your personality and get a little deeper? And that is that is why we call it the PDP program, Personality Development Program, because that's exactly what the colleges are testing. GP, a little from you on that.
Okay. Let me just rewind a little. First of all, and to answer that question, कि मेरा इतना score है, what should I start preparing or not? Okay. Couple of things. By and large, you know at what percentile which institute gives a call. Okay, by and large, and if you have doubt, you can always look at the profilizer from Career Launcher on in your MyZone. It will tell you. Okay, so if you think you are likely to get a call from an institute you are happy with, for example, someone might say, I remember a couple of my students a few years ago who said, yeah, I know I have these deficiencies, and if I get an institute of the level of IMT, SIBM, SCMHRD, I'll be happy joining it. So if you are someone who says कि मेरे को इस institute तक में जाना है and my score is likely to get me a call from there, please start preparing for interviews immediately along with the other stuff. Okay, so it is not that only if I'm getting a 99.7 will I start preparing. No, I know I will get a call from IMT Ghaziabad. I will likely to get a 92, 93 percentile, and I will be happy joining the institute. So I should start preparing. Why it is important is to understand. Please understand. You have studied maths and English since your childhood. Interview preparation, interviews, most of you have never gone through it. Some of you have gone through it through the interview process when you applied for placement at the end of your college process. And some of you have, and most of you have not gone through the interview process at all. So there's a completely different ball game, and you need to get used to it. It goes into a greater depth. Okay, it tries to understand you as a person, and that is where the most amount of work has to be done. Okay, so the earlier you start your preparation for the interviews, the better off you would be. Okay? So don't think कि score आएगा तभी लेके चलेंगे, because your CAT score will come out effectively first week of January, and interviews will start by and large by end of January, maybe beginning February, depending on the institute, and that may not be sufficient time for you to do the complete preparation. Okay, so जितनी जल्दी शुरू करोगे उतना अच्छा है. Now coming to this part of the PDP part, what is important here is, apart from knowing about yourself, you also need to know about the world around you. So I hope you have started reading newspapers. Okay, current affairs becomes important, especially current affairs which is connected to you. For example, you belong to Delhi and you are not aware of the smog or the pollution issue in Delhi, reflects very negatively upon you. You need to not only know about this issue exists, you also need to understand why it exists and how it can be improved upon. So it is important to be aware of things around you, because as a business person, you work in a context. So if you don't understand the context around you, if you don't understand the world around you, you are unlikely to be a good business person, which is why this thing checked. So please start reading newspapers regularly. Please start watching videos or podcasts of different current affairs, and at least stay in touch with what is important. Okay? The EVM controversy which is happening, you should be aware about it. Why is that controversy there? Is there any logic behind it, or is it just political? If there's logic behind it, what is it? How can it be improved upon? It's something you need to be looking at. Okay. So that's broadly what I would want to say. कि वेट मत करो, जल्दी से शुरू कर दो. अगर लगता है अपने मतलब की कॉल आ जाएगी, then don't wait for it at all.
So I'll also pick this up because students are asking, if you're a part of our classroom program, or if you've taken an online classes program which included PDP planned is going to be included in that. If you're part of the classroom program, go to your center and they will tell you how the PDP program is going to function there. What are the sessions that are going to happen. We'll take the mock interviews and stuff. If you're part of the online classes program, PDP planned classes and PDP planned interviews will start very soon. We also have a program which is PDP personalized, where you get a personalized mentor GP, Jijo, Shivku, me, Sazil, Sujata, Satya, all of us are part of that. Rahul, Siddharth, I can put forth a few more names as well. We are all a part of that. We take a few students, every year. GP takes a lot of students every year. So we take a few students every year and we try our level best to mentor them, help them understand a little bit more about their own selves, write an autobiography, understand strength, weakness, short term, long term goal, all of that, introduction कैसे करना चाहिए, help identify कि आपके background and undergrad subjects कौन से हैं जिन पे focus करना चाहिए, and so on and so forth. So that is something that we do. This year, one thing different that we're doing it. Till last year, we were allowing you to choose your mentor. This year, we don't want to do that because Ravi is also a part of the PDP personalized. Yes. This year, what we want to do is we want to map you with
Ravi
a
and
mentor,
us
which
also.
Ravi asks, Srinivas, a lot of others. I keep repeating. What we want to do is we want to map you to a mentor who will be closest to you in profile, because it just makes that much more sense, because that same mentor will also be able to help you a little bit when it comes to your undergraduation courses, because a major chunk of your interview is also going to be those technical questions or knowledge based questions from your undergraduation courses. So that's why we're just taking a different path this year basis our learnings of last year. It's going to help, which basically means that you could get a GP, you could get Jijo, you could get Ravi, you could get me, you could get any of us, depending upon your profile and depending upon how we feel which person would be able to help you the most. So that's how it goes. So you can go ahead and have a look at PDP personalized. Okay, I hope that kind of sorts out PDP personalized for you all and sorts out PDP planned. Okay, these two parts done. So you can scan this QR code to check out PDP personalized as well. It will give you a little bit of an understanding of the program. Other than that, Snap online classes, have launched. Yesterday was the open session. It's written launched today. It was actually yesterday. Yesterday was the first open session. Classes have started today. So in case, you're interested in it, please go ahead and have a look at the Snap online classes. Go ahead, attend those. It'll go ahead and help you. Extra money, but can't choose mentor. Yeah, you can't choose mentor. Extra money in the sense it's a different program altogether, Aditya. Okay. The non-CAT test series have also been launched. So those of you who were asking ki XAT ki test series hai ki nahi, SNAP ki hai ki nahi, NMAT ki hai ki nahi, go ahead and have a look at it. And finally, like I pointed out, XAT online classes, the intro session is going to be there on Friday, 9:30. I'll be taking it. You can scan this QR code and, you can go ahead and register for it. Okay. That's, I'll just pick up a couple of questions. GP, we can probably have a look at it.
Yeah.
This is Atharva stating I am a doctor. VRC 8 questions attempted. DILR 7 attempt. All right. In quant 5 marks ही बन रहे हैं. Can I expect anything? NCO doctor 5 marks will be
थोड़ा
difficult.
challenge है यार. However, start focusing on that is what I would say. 5 marks is unlikely to get your call from any of the top institutes. Any institute which does not take sectional cutoff, you have a chance. But that will mean you are out of all the IIMs and MDI. And all IIMs and MDI, they are definitely ruled out for you. IIT Delhi में शायद sectional cutoff नहीं होती है. And there you might have a chance. You could also have a chance in not FMS Delhi, but the Delhi University other MBA programs.
Yeah, correct. Monarch, the cost of the test series is 1,000 rupees, the XAT test series. Similarly, the cost of the Snap test series is 1,000 rupees. So you can go ahead and have a look at it. Okay. So you can check it out. Also, some of you all are stating, can you please describe the PDP program a bit? Can you please describe the PDP program a bit more in detail? What do they have and stuff? Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about it. In terms of the program, we'll have a number of 8 to 10 concept-based sessions where we'll talk about interview concepts, helping you understand how you can go ahead and create your own personalized answers to tell me something about yourself, why MBA, strength, weakness, long-term, short-term goals, and stuff like that. concept sessions on WAT or AWT, like IIM Ahmedabad has, which is slightly different. Sessions on SOP writing, which a couple of colleges will require. Sessions on interview concepts and interview basics, getting deeper into it. And then if you're a part of PDP Personalized, a specific mentor will be allocated to you. You'll have a session with the mentor wherein you all will go down, get deeper into your profile through an autobiography, identify various elements of your profile, and then there'll be mock interviews, 3 to 4 mock interviews, which will be not only with your mentor but with other mentors as well. So for example, if GP is your mentor, you could have a mock interview with Jijo, you could have a mock interview with Ravi, you could have it with Aks, you could have it with me, Shifku, anybody. That's how it goes, so that you get a slightly rounded understanding of where you are, and you also get multiple opinions and feedback from different people, because eventually it is going to be a panel of 3 people who are going to interview you. So that's basically what the GDPI program is like, in a very, very short synopsis of it. Okay. Do we have in-person interview sessions for GDPI? Yeah, we have access to both online and offline. There'll be 2 variants. It boils down to you which program you enroll in. If you enroll in the offline program, it will be in person. If you enroll in the online program, it will be online. As simple as that. Okay. Okay. Sir, many of the fee waivers subject to CAT results and colleges calls, but how to avail those? There are no such fee waivers which are linked to this year's CAT. It is all linked to previous years. So that means if you're a repeater, if you were a part of, Career Launcher before, or you'd written CAT before, at this point in time, it isn't. So you don't need to worry. And when it comes to PDP, there is no fee waiver at this point in time, which is related to your CAT result or anything. Okay, cool. Tushar, can I expect any call at 90 to 95 percentile in CAT 24? If yes, please tell me which all. ये थोड़ा loaded question है.
नहीं तो ऐसे काफी है यार. If you are 90 percentile plus, you will get good calls. And I would say IMT, IMI, XM Bhubaneswar, at your 90 to 95 range, all these colleges will come. Then you might even get a call from let's say Delhi University.
If your profile is
yeah, yes, profile के base पे तुम्हें baby IIMs का भी आ सकता है. You can also get from Delhi University का जो है MIB, Master in International Business, maybe MFC also. Again, it will be a function. So there are quite a few. What gets ruled out are the top IIMs. ABCL, XLFMS, Ranchi, Raipur, etc. All these Trichy, they get ruled out. But after that, there are quite a few which are available to you. Okay, काम करो यार. देखो, we will be releasing the B-School predictor also very soon. Okay. Otherwise, if we don't release that, we'll give you a range at which college, as to what is the range at which different colleges give you an interview call. Okay. So, okay, obviously that is subject to your profile also.
Correct. So we're basically waiting for the response sheet to be out, because basis the response sheet, once you upload it, it's also going to help us understand a little bit better about the scores that students are getting across the 3 slots, and thereby what the percentiles could be. And then on the basis of that, the B-School predictor will come out, which will help you understand basis your profile and basis the expected percentile that you could get in CAT, which colleges you could expect a call from. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Abhinda, pehli cheez to you should definitely apply to SPJAN. XAT you should apply because it will open up XLRE Jamshedpur for you. But I would say please start preparing for the interview process. 40 plus roughly, let's say another 50 between the remaining 2 sections. Non-engineer, which because you are a lawyer, a score of 90, you should be around 99 percentile or somewhere around that. So, bhaiya, shuru to kar do. And yes, SPJAN, you should definitely apply.
If your profile is good, IIM Ahmedabad ka bhi bahut high chance hai actually. Because it's a different stream that you have. So please kickstart ASAP. Okay, I think we've picked up a lot of the questions. That's it from our end for this session. Like I stated, I'll catch you on Friday at 9:30 p.m. For the XAT online classes intro session. That's not on YouTube, so I hope you have scanned this QR code and registered for it so that you could attend it. It's a free session, so do not worry too much at all. Just come attend. and we'll get deeper into that at that point in time. For the others, Snap classes have started. Go ahead, look at it if you want to enroll. XAT mock starting on the 30th. So if you haven't already enrolled in it, the first mock is on the 30th, and a lot more coming your way. We've also started the last lab to Snap on the YouTube channel, which is starting very soon. It has already started, from tomorrow. And then we'll also have the last lab to XAT and multiple other things. So YouTube is going to keep buzzing. We are going to keep you engaged. But we'll obviously not be able to cover everything for free on YouTube. So in case you're looking for any specific help, go ahead and look at the products that we spoke about: XAT online classes, Snap online classes, DM1000, PDP, and we'll catch you there. That's it from both GP and me for now. We'll catch you again very soon. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night and all the best.